The next material source we will be learning about is museums. There are government museums at all Indian states. Example, the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj at Mumbai, Reserve Bank Museum in Pune city. These museums display the cultural and social heritage of the state. Some private collectors set up their own museums based on different subjects. Subjects like coins, notes, lamps, nutcrackers. Nutcracker is a device cracking nuts. It is a tool designed to open nuts by cracking their shells. Hang on to doors to avoid evil spirits. So nutcrackers in different shapes, cricket equipments, etc. So there are different subjects. Taking care of them, these museums are set up. Some museums are run by the government, they are taken care of by the government, whereas there are some private collectors, people, those who on their own set up museums on these different subjects. Now we will learn about oral sources. What do you mean by oral sources? Oral sources means that are orally spoken or sung. What comes under oral sources? Songs means folk tales, proverbs, ballads, ovis, in Marathi it is known as ovis, which are verses, are all oral sources. Now children, you can imagine the abhangas that are sung, that are composed by Sant Tukaram, Sant Eknath Maharaj. Now all these songs are oral sources. Same way in those days, people who were really activists, who were actively working in the concerned field, they were also inspired by the povadas of Lok Shahir Anna Bhau Sathe, then Shahir Amar Sheikh during the Sanyukta Maharashtra movement. Children, do you remember we have learnt about Sanyukta Maharashtra movement, which basically became more active after our independence? So all these oral sources become an important sources for learning our history of modern India. Children, you're going to try this. See, the example is given. When the writer, when the poet writes something, when you read something in literature, any writing, any article, any novel, any story is written, there is social, political, religious background which unknowingly comes into his writing. Same way, a Marathi poet Kusumagraj, Viva Shirvadkar, he perceives the event of Sino-Indian War in his poem Avahan. Means, when he wrote the poem Avahan, there was the political background, there was war between India and China, and that background comes into his poem, into his writing of the poem Avahan. Now you can find out more examples of contemporary events. Now we will learn about audio-visual sources. History Channel, Discovery Channel are audio-visual sources of learning history. Television, films, internet are called audio-visual media. A huge information can be collected through this source, where we have domestic and foreign channels also work actively. Now children, you might have understood what comes under audio-visual sources. Television, films and internet. These are audio-visual media. Children, you might have seen there are different channels, like History Channel is available on television, Discovery Channel, Geographical Channel. So these channels where when these are observed, when these are watched, you can listen to them, you can visualize them, you can see them. So these are called as audio-visual media. Huge information can be collected through the source, because once the film is made, you can even see the film Pakiza, you can even see the film Mother India. Maybe in 19th century these films were made, but today also when you see them, these become the greatest source of learning. Maybe social, political, religious activities of those days can be learnt watching these films. So definitely television, these different channels on television, these come under audiovisual media. Children, let's learn about Film and Television Institute of India, FTII. The Film and Television Institute of India was established at Pune by the Government of India, having a purpose of providing public education. It was established in 1960. This department produces various documentaries on prominent social leaders, people contributing towards the country, and about important locations in India. All these documentaries, various newsreels become an important sources of learning history. You can try to know about the films, about patriotism, and write a review on at least one film. So see children, we are learning about FTII. It was established by the Government of India, having a purpose to provide public education to the public, to the people. Now, what is the function of this department? This department produces various documentaries. Children, can anyone tell me what is the difference between documentaries and films? Films can be imaginative. They can be based on any one topic and all imagination will be there. But when we think about documentaries, they are based on the facts, realities. So that is the difference between documentaries and the films. So this department produces different documentaries based on the contribution of prominent social leaders. It can be about any important locations in India. So these documentaries, these newsreels become an important source of learning history. Children, you can write your review. There are n number of films that are patriotic, like based on patriotism. There are different topics handled in these films. So you can watch it and you can write your own outlook. You can write your own review about at least one film. Children, you can see the logo, FTII logo. Children, we have learnt about FTTI. Now you know it very well. The whole world has been moving towards digitalization. Now you can correlate the situation, this pandemic situation through which we are going now. Still, we are able to do our work, taking the help of this digitalization, or taking the help of this internet and all other gadgets. So same way, you can learn about this. When we shifted from landline, initially we used to have only landline phones. But from landline to cell phones, when we shifted, in between there was a gadget called as pager. Pager came up for contacting people, for messaging people. But quickly it disappeared after the arrival of cell phones. So there is a huge amount in this digitalized world. There is a huge amount of information that can be stored, that can be sent from one to the faraway place, taking the help of this internet. But again, children, don't consider everything true or authentic. Even if it comes to us, we need to check, verify the information whether it is really truthful. We need to check its authenticity. So it's very important, children, not to accept the information that comes easily to the doorsteps of us. We need to check it thoroughly, we need to verify it, and then only it should be accepted practically. So children, we have learnt about different sources, material, written sources, oral sources, even FTTI, Press Trust of India, and also we have learnt about postage stamps in this chapter. So after learning about all these sources, we can come to the conclusion that these sources are so helpful to us to compare or to study history. Since history is a subject that touches all spheres, all aspects of our lives, even we need to take care, we need to preserve these sources at every level. Rather, they are also taken care of by the Government of India. But being students of history, we must also learn to contribute towards these efforts. Children, we complete this chapter over here. Children, we have learned the whole chapter. There are different sources like written, oral, material sources we have learned. Based on that, some questions in the form of assignment are given to you. You can take a screenshot, and what you need to do now, you're going to open your textbook. Chapter 1 will be read by you, and after reading the chapter, you will mark down all these answers in your textbook, and you're going to copy all the questions in your textbook exercise and copy these answers in your classwork. Children, we have learned the chapter Sources of History. Thank you.